this old guy my story of God. I'm telling the old guy my story of God, right?
Don't.
I'm going to. I think it's just proper that everyone hears the true story about Jesus and what I uncovered on Google.ca. Okay.
Tell us all about the Wonder Bread story.
You want to hear the Wonder Bread story?
Let's hear the Wonder Bread story.
Okay, so God, we're going to call him God tonight. He had his last, show the church, he had his last day on earth, him and all his disciples at the table. And they only had one loaf of bread. One loaf of bread had to go between so many of these people, right? He had to feed them all. And he had one fish. A fillet of fish.
Where'd you get that fish from, Rob?
Drive through, express lane, right side. And, so anyway, what ended up happening is God decided, he was just going to conjure up some money in his pocket and whatnot, and thought it'd be cool to go get more bread. So he says, okay, disciples, and everyone gathered around the table tonight, I will be back. I'm going to go conjure up some bread and feed us all tonight. So God gets out, hops in his black Chevy Cavalier with chrome rims, jumps over to the IGA. Yeah, you heard me, IGA, that's why they changed their name. And he picks up a bunch of loaves of Wonder Bread, cuts the package white, brings them home, dumps the bread on the table, and goes, whoosh! And God said, let there be bread. There was enough bread to feed the disciples and have like 5 baskets of leftovers, right? Then the fish. Here's where it gets interesting. That one fillet of fish, that's a small fucking fish. It's only like that big, not even. So God goes, okay, who's got some change? So one of his disciples says, well, God, you can just, So I said, you got some change? And I gave him some change. I gave him enough money to go over to McDonald's and get 250 filet. So we went and grabbed 250 filet of fish. With that 250 filet of fish.
Yo!
Whoa! Yeah, do it! Yeah! Fight them! Yeah!
Hey, you guys are gonna be famous on YouTube, eh?
Yeah! No, this is going on YouTube!
Are they really?
Okay, goodbye!
Are they really fighting?
So, enough with the whores in this town. Let's get back to the God story. Here's your change back, by the way. What? Now what or never? If I come over there, what's gonna happen? Hey, fuck you! Fuck, I'm not a fighter, she's a fucking old lady. Go do it. No! No! Probably. Old bitch kicked me in the ball. Alright, let's get back to my God story, okay? God ran over to McDonald's, went through the drive-thru express lane, about 11 o'clock at night, got 250 filet of fish. Asked for no bun, no tartars.
Would you stop wobbling back and forth? Your face keeps going off the screen, on the screen, off the screen, on the screen. It's driving me fucking nuts. Here I am. Whoa, where's Robbie? For fuck's sake, God damn it.
The guy gets the filet, he brings them back, he puts them on the table and goes, and God gave him filet. They all ate their dinner and God poured out some red wine. I call it sourpuss. The red shit. And he cracks that out. They all drink and they get shit-faced. Well, Mary, being the Virgin Mary, she needs, she's a designated driver tonight. She takes God home. All the other guys get their own ride home, but the Virgin Mary decides, well, I'll be the designated driver today. I'll drive God home. She goes and she drives God home. God invites her in for some coffee. They get their thing on, man. God pounds the shit out of her. Fucks her so hard she thinks she's on her fucking period. Okay? Now, what happens next is very funny.
Shut up.
God blows his load in Mary. They didn't have a thing called rubber at the time.
And Matt!
He blew his load in Mary, and Mary's pregnant. Well, they gotta cover this up, right? Because it's supposed to be the Virgin Mary. Her parents would kill her if she was pregnant. So what they did is God went over, grabbed some of that Glad cling wrap. He goes in, spreads her legs, wide open, goes, fuck, I smell the fish from last night's dinner. Goes in, opens her pussy, Saran wrap over it. Now she's not bleeding. Now her parents got nothing to worry about. The cling wrap is doing its job. 9 months later, Mary's having her baby. The baby comes out with a piece of saran wrap on his face. What happens after that is the baby dies. The doctors didn't know what to do. There's so much goop and so much mess on his face. So the doctors just decided, we'll leave him, we'll let him die, and we'll throw his body in the stable. You know, the same stable that the kid that Mary has with Joseph.
Stop fucking.
Shut my cock. You know what, right here. Good. What then ends up happening is all these Catholic people coming on fuck. God decides that he's just gonna keep this his little secret. He's not gonna tell them that he knocked up Mary. Mary's not gonna tell her parents shit, because this is gonna go down sour. And the baby's in the stable. He's dead. They cover him up with some hay. The horses will eat him. I got a really dirty look from her, didn't I? Okay, God decides that he is gonna create a man named Joseph. Joseph comes into the world, fully grown, everything already, all that shit, blah blah blah. Joseph starts whoring Mary out to all of the town of Bethlehem. Whores Mary out to everyone. Mary comes back and he decides, oh, your pussy's loosened up, I want a piece of the action. He goes in and goes down on her hard. Fucked her so fucking hard. Mary's pregnant again. This time she don't tell no one again. She has the baby and she calls it Jesus. Now you think the Jesus is that real savior, you know, the guy who can float, make bread, make fish. Well, he's already alive. He's already gone in hiding, like Osama bin Laden, you know?
What kind of bread does he make?
Wonder bread.
Does he make it, or is he a cheapskate who buys it from
He's
IGA?
a cheap motherfucker. Jesus, man, he's so hood. He wears his pants below his waist. He goes to IGA and, yeah, you know, he buys his Wonder bread from IGA. And, you know, now we're not even getting to church. Now, that's a disgrace. God will be upset.
Everybody knows the church is right there.
Okay. Here. Let me continue with my God story, alright? So, Joseph fucks Mary. Mary's pregnant. Mary has a baby. Names him Jesus. Now everyone thinks it's God, Jesus, Savior, who has special powers. Well, God's got nothing, but God plays that shit up. Jesus Christ, he plays that shit up so well. He goes and tells people to sacrifice a lamb and you'll go to heaven. And all he does is have them kill the lamb, give him the dead body. He goes home and makes pork chops. Alright? What God decided is God was going to let Jesus die. So the Romans came and took Jesus Christ, nailed him to a fucking cross. He was a fucking trooper. He stayed alive for a couple days up on that thing. But if it was the real Jesus, he could have just levitated off and flown away. Like the birds that fly south for the winter. So what happens is God decides that, there's some fucking coming over here. Okay, God decides what's going to end up happening is Jesus is just going to die. That's basically the end of the story, you know. There was a big cover-up. Jesus is still somewhere in hiding up in the mountains in Israel. Up with Osama bin Laden, smoking their joints, ripping their bongs, doing a quick popper, a quick spliff, you know, roll a blunt. Jesus is rolling a blunt with bin Laden. That airplane that flew into a building, that was not an airplane, that was God's fucking fireball. God sent a fireball through that building. You know why? 'Cause